Good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate our speakers very much for their excellent presentations. I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Rex Newkirk, Associate Professor at the University of Saskatchewan and Research Chair, Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture, Research Chair in Feed Processing Technology. So we have some questions in the question and answer and chat section. So let me open some of those up and see what we've got here. So for Dan Kraft, what exactly happens to protein quality in the heated extraction process? That's from Jay.
So so I mentioned in the presentation that we use a cold pressed process for extracting the oil. What we have found is the functionality of the proteins are weakened with the extreme heat, and so we're trying to produce the highest quality protein for our customers, and so we're minimizing the temperature just to improve the functionality and quality of the proteins that we're selling. So it's really a functionality play for the protein.
Fantastic. And for Dr. Samuel, we've got a question here from Kathy. Do you see a trade-off in oil content in your high protein lines?
At least with this technology, we haven't done the negative regulators yet. We are pursuing that, but with the overexpression technology, we do see like maybe 5% reduction in oil in these lines.
Excellent. Appreciate that. And so another question for you. What seed quality characteristics, seed size, oil, protein grade? This is for Dan, sorry. So what seed quality characteristics, oil, protein grade, make for easier protein extraction and or better quality protein isolates? And this is the canola industry here, so I guess they're asking, how can we help you get what you need to get?
First is we're in year one and we're learning every day in terms of that. But I mean, we are looking for the highest protein content in the meal. Just looking at the presentation following me in terms of, you have a meal ranging from 33% to 45%. We're looking for high protein in the meal so that we can improve the yield. Now, the question is, what is the impact on the functional qualities? We're still learning and trying to understand that as we move forward. But we've been putting a lot of emphasis on trying to increase the protein in the meal, and we've been studying and looking at different varieties in terms of where we can get the best protein percentage in the meal that we're extracting our protein from.
Excellent. And we have a plant breeder geneticist with us, and we've got on the other side of it. So you guys might be able to help each other out. I was interested, Dr. Samuel, in your work with the ABI3 gene. You said the increased lignin content of that outer wall. How much does that translate into lower protein or other nutrients being bound in the seed, or do you know how extensive that lignification is going to be?
That extent, lignification is only in that E and B layer, maybe 1 or 2 layers. Sometimes you see the same response when plants are stressed out. You see extra lignification in the additional layers too. So that's a very common process. I think that there's not much of a trade-off, at least based on our publication. The oil is perfectly fine, and there's no other pleiotropic defects too in these lines. So we were quite surprised, because when you overexpress something like ABI3, you expect more dormancy and all those things, germination defect. But we didn't find any of those.
Okay. I guess I was thinking from a nutritional perspective with the protein side of things rather than the oil.
Protein, yeah. I think it's stable. I don't think we've seen any reduction in protein.
Okay, excellent. And a question from John for you, Dan. What does Merit do with the cold pressed canola oil?
Right now, we're very fortunate. There's really strong demand for cold pressed canola meal. So we've been selling it. We don't have rail service at our facility, but we've been moving it truckloads, and they're going all throughout North America right now. So as we're crushing, we have customers throughout Canada and the US that is taking the oil.
Excellent. And then they also had the same question on the meal product that you're producing.
So our meal generally, Our extractability is about 50%. We talked about there might, and so the meal that's leaving our facility, let's say if it comes in at 40%, where it's leaving around 20%. So it's still been a good fit for different livestock, hog, poultry producers. So it's been going into that sector today.
Fantastic. And since Sia is my grad student, I can't let her off, right? So we got to put you on the gun there for a second. So I guess, Sia, I know you're only partway through your research, but do you think that for Dan's group, is there something that they would be able to measure fairly quickly that might give them an indication of extractability in the future? So if you're selecting seed, is there something they could maybe select for, do you think?
That's a hard question. I'm not 100% sure about that, actually. I mean, maybe at the end of my research, I'll know a little more, but currently I don't know right off the bat that you could just look at it and be like, I don't know that I would pick. There might be like areas that you can select from, depending on like which areas tend to have more high protein, if that's what you're looking for. But right off the bat, no, I wouldn't know. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
What we've been trying to do is understanding both the geography as well as variety. And then there's environmental conditions. So obviously soil conditions and just the growing conditions of the season. There's a lot that goes into it. But what we have seen is there's certain varieties that are consistently higher protein production across multiple geographies. And so it gives an indication that there might be a varietal advantage in terms of the protein in the meal, but we're early days.
I agree. That's kind of what I'm seeing as well so far. But again, I'm also not fully through my research, so I'm not 100% sure yet, but I am definitely seeing certain varieties are over different areas and over a wider span of areas. They're producing more stable levels of protein and they are on the higher end, as opposed to there's a couple strains there that aren't doing very well in most locations.
Excellent. And I got a question here from Wayne. With all the extra crush capacity coming to Saskatchewan, so I think what 3 million tons of capacity has been announced for Regina because of renewable fuel standard changes. What will it take to get a protein industry set up here, or we simply ship away this raw product to other areas of the world to be further processed? So I guess he's thinking, how do we make use of the meal from 3 million tons, which is 2.4 million tons of meal. I know, Dan, you're already doing it, so I don't know who to ask this question of. What do you think? What's the barrier, Dan?
I don't think there is a barrier. I think that when you're looking at crush, is understanding how you're crushing and the impact on the protein. I think that really needs to be assessed because to date we have shied away from hexane extraction in terms of the impact on the protein. So if you're expanding your crush capacity, you have to understand the type of and what it is doing to the meal. This is a very different protein. It's very new, but I can tell you our proteins are in 11 different countries around the world now being tested, and it is a very unique protein with high functional characteristics, and customers are really excited about it. I think the growth opportunity is really, through the roof, and it's a real great opportunity for Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all of Canada.
So I guess if one or more of the crushing plants were to produce a lightly desolventized or a flash desolventized meal rather than the heavily desolventized toasted meal, that could spur on extra production on the prairies.
I definitely agree. And I think we just need to understand, as we're looking at different crushing methodologies and processes, the impact on the meal and the associated protein.
Perfect. And we've got a question here from John. Oil and protein in canola seed are usually inversely related. We usually see canola seed from Alberta that's often higher oil and lower protein that is from seed from the eastern prairies. Oh, trying to find the question in there. I got to the statement, didn't get to the question. John, did you want to finish off that question? And while you're typing that in, Feng has a good question. Will farmers get premium when they plant a high protein variety? So if the protein and oil are inversely related, farmers, the crushers are primarily motivated by the oil. If there's higher protein seed, is there a way to get a premium to the farmer to entice them to grow it?
We today are paying I mentioned in the presentation, we are using non-GMO, so Clearfield canola today, and we are paying a premium for it. And yes, we continue to pay prices over and above market value for the canola based on both the harvest practices, storage requirements. I mentioned that we're soy-free, gluten-free. Those are demands that our customers of the canola protein are asking for. And so as a result, we're paying premiums for the grain that we're bringing into our facility.
Perfect. And so go ahead, Sam. Marcus.
I have a question for Dan. Dan, great talk today. Mark is here. So you said non-GM canola. With over 95% of all canola being GM in Canada, so is there an incentive, do you think, a shift towards more non-GM canola growing and probably open pollinated canola as we move forward, because someone like Merit is enticing them to grow these things?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that question a lot, and then it's not that we're a proponent that everything has to be non-GMO, but right now when we're dealing with customers, discussions like with Nestle, that's the expectation. If you're going to
depending on your clients,
yeah, the customers demand it. This isn't us pushing it on to the customer. This is the customer saying, for you to deliver pea protein, canola protein, we have a non-GMO brand on our products. So if you want to be a supplier of choice, this is a requirement. So because of that, it restricts the acres and the availability. I mean, we're probably 96% of canola acres are
GM,
are not Clearfield, and so there's challenges there. We understand that, but that is the expectation that we've had with our customers to date. So that's why we focused on that to start.
Interesting.
Thanks, Seth.
And just to follow up on that oil and protein inverse related question, so John finished it off. He says, with a higher oil in some regions, higher protein, might there be opportunities for farmers to contract production from specific geographies? So what's the sort of thought around forward contracting in specific regions for that protein content? I guess you're already doing that.
Is that question for myself? Sorry. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, we're actively contracting acres in Saskatchewan and Manitoba today. Just from a geographic standpoint, I mentioned in there we're about 30,000 tons of processing capacity in our phase one right now. So we're using those provinces to secure a majority of our canola, just because of transportation. We have looked at a little bit in Alberta, but those are the areas we're forward contracting right now.
It's got to be a challenge from year to year because the growing conditions can make such a big difference. We've seen this year with the drought, the change in oil to protein and that shift. And so each region could have different weather. This year we were sort of drought everywhere, but
yeah, what we're noticing right now this year is that there's a bit of a shift up in the protein content compared to last year's harvest on both canola and peas. We're just seeing that. I think the drier conditions, obviously the yields are down, and that's not what we want to see. We're just seeing that you're seeing a different composition, a higher 1 to 2 points higher in protein in the meal than we saw in previous years.
And for ASEA's work, that was seed from 2020 or 2020, right? So it wasn't the drought year. It was a good year, good growing year. Good. I think I'm pretty much out of time. I think we're wrapping up into the last minutes. So thank you very much to each of you speakers. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and for the participants for attending. Did you guys have any last comments you want to make or suggestions or?
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity to participate. You're asking about contracting and stuff. We do have a grower site that if we can make available to other people so they understand how we can. We're looking at canola, clear for canola across Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We'd love for growers to reach out to us. So if we can make that available, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Rex and Sally.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys very much.